Behind every door, around every corner, down every staircase, you just might find a hidden treasure.
I'm the business manager for Covanta Montgomery. I cover both the resource recovery facility here in Dickerson and the transfer station in Durwood. We at Covanta process the waste that's left over after curbside recycling. We take what's left and turn it into electric energy. The resource recovery facility is here in Dickerson, Maryland, in the upper northwest corner of Montgomery County. Beautiful farm country. You can see that we don't have much truck traffic here because the trash comes in by rail and the residue leaves by rail. So we've protected the roads. Covanta operates this facility on behalf of Montgomery County. However, the owner is the Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority. The Northeast Authority is a state agency that helps jurisdictions with their planning for solid waste management. The trash is delivered to the transfer station in Durwood. It's then loaded onto rail cars and brought out here to Dickerson, to the power plant. Once the containers arrive here at the resource recovery facility, we unload them into our refuse pit, and from there the material is loaded into our boilers where we convert it into electric energy. In that process, we also remove scrap metal that is recycled, about 13,000 tons a year at this facility. The residue that's left over is then put in containers and put on rail cars and taken to a landfill. The residue is only 10% of the volume of the original trash, so we're extending the lives of landfills by 10 times by doing this process. We have 45 plants like this, EFW plants, around the world. We have 41 here in the US, and we have 3 under construction in different parts of the world as well. The technology we use to convert the trash into electric energy is based upon a European technology. We use a Martin moving grate system. It's been around since the 1970s, as has this industry of energy from waste. It started in Europe, and they have always been on the sort of the leading edge of waste management, including recycling. There are continued improvements to the system. That's one of the things that Covanta tries to do, is continuously improve on our performance and our relationships. Our performance environmentally and on a safety basis and on a performance basis, and trying to get as much as we can out of the waste that we're presented. We handle about 600,000 tons a year of solid waste here at the facility. We process that into clean, renewable electricity. We remove about 13,000 tons of scrap metal. That's enough to produce about 9,000 hybrid cars. We give lots of tours here, many to students from the elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, not only in Montgomery County, but others as well. We give tours to college classes and to various civic groups, as well as people really from all over the world. The tour starts in our conference room, where we present a diorama of the facility. It's hard to see inside the boilers, so we have a cutout that shows the different components of the facility, and we explain how the trash goes through the entire process from beginning to end. We then take a walk around. We go up to our charging deck and observe trucks unloading into our refuse pit, the cranes loading the trash into the feed hoppers. We then take a walk into the plant itself, underneath the feed hoppers, and we get to see the boilers. And they're very large And it's kind of an interesting thing. A lot of people are, I think, in awe of the size of this equipment. We go to an observation area where we can see the rail yard from a distance. And then we take a walk to the control room and get a chance to chat with our control room operator. They are there 24 hours a day. We then end the tour with a return to the conference room and a Q&A. There are always questions after people have had a chance to see something for the first time in their lives. We provide a solution for three of the most pressing needs that communities have. One is the need for clean, renewable electricity. Another is the reduction of greenhouse gases. And the other is the safe disposal of solid waste for communities. As we're converting the waste into electric energy, we're also reducing greenhouse gases. First, because we're not putting it in landfills where methane is generated. And methane is 25 times more potent a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So that's the first step. The second is that we are displacing the production of electricity by fossil fuels. In fact, for every ton of trash that we process, it eliminates 1 barrel of oil or 1/4 ton of coal that would need to be drilled or mined. Throughout our Covanta facilities, we typically are operating at 80% or lower than the required limits on the various emission constituents. Here, we measure those and send those to the internet on an hourly basis. They're available on the county website. You can see what our emissions are anytime. I believe we're the only plant in the world that does that. At the end of the process, we remove scrap metal from the residue that's left over. That scrap metal is sent off to scrap metal dealers and is used really throughout the world, but it's enough, in this case, to make 9,000 hybrid cars annually out of what we take out of this facility. As a county resident myself, I'm very proud of what the county has done here and what we are doing as well. The county made a decision about, I guess, 17, 18 years ago to build this facility and to manage their solid waste in a very responsible way. It's environmentally sound, reduces greenhouse gases, it's economically viable, and it's kept the beautiful countryside here in the northwestern part of the county in almost pristine condition. To arrange a tour, you can call us here at the facility. The number is 301-916-3031.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child.
So let's join hands, book people unite, unearth hidden passion. Mama, have a good time.
One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life. People unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
My name is Judy Christensen, and I work as the Executive Director of Montgomery Preservation Inc., and that is a county-wide historic preservation group which advocates for historic preservation and works to save historic buildings.
We have a dual purpose of the Silver Spring Historical Society. One is historic preservation advocacy, where we try to educate the public and our elected county officials of the importance of preserving the community's older buildings. And then the other is education, just a general community of the history of Silver Spring through the publications of books and walking tours. The connection between the Silver Spring Historical Society and the 1945 Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Station is that we were one of the early organizations that assisted in the preservation of this incredible building.
Well, the station was built in 1945. There was a Victorian station here which was basically taken down, and because you weren't allowed to build buildings during the war, they claimed that they were remodeling it, but they left only the foundation. So it's basically a new building on an old foundation, and it's one of the few 20th century railroad stations in Maryland. It's a colonial revival station where most of them are more of an Victorian station. It is completely restored. Even the furniture has been reupholstered courtesy of the Silver Spring Women's Club. Actually, we think it was Harry Truman that got this building built. Truman and his family did not like to go to Union Station to go home to Missouri because it's huge. They had to walk through this whole station to the private waiting room. People would recognize them instantly and want to talk to them and tell them stories and whatever, so it took forever. Truman would have his family brought up Georgia Avenue, park out here by the side. They would come into the station agent's office and wait there. This building was condemned. In fact, it had fence around it, bulldozers waiting outside, the windows had been removed. It was a mess. There was a blue tarp on the roof because the roof leaked. We were waiting for the demolition. At the last minute, the CSX company said they would sell us this building for $1. We took possession of it, but then we had to raise $500,000 to get it restored, which was done through the generosity of a lot of people. A state bond bill, Montgomery County helped out, everybody helped out. Railroad groups came and helped. It was a real community effort. It opened again in 2003, and it has been running ever since then. We use it for community events. We invite people to rent it for family reunions and weddings even. It's been a very popular place for somebody that wants a small, intimate setting with a lot of character.
We have some amazing photographs that were taken by the original station master, Robert Davis, and we're very proud. He had such wonderful stories of the people that came through, the presidents that came through here, you know, preferring instead of being at Union Station to catch the train, to come further northwest on this outbound track, to have their private passenger trains, you know, loaded here.
I was the express and mail handler in Clark, and I put the mail on the train, took the mail off the trains. We had 36 trains a day that stopped here at Silver Spring. Most of them had mail coming on and off. This was a very exciting place to work in too. All the trains on the B&O stopped here, every one of them. It was particularly busy in the evening where the trains going to Chicago and St. Louis, the trains were back to back, and the station was just full of people. And it was quite an exciting time, very busy time.
When areas develop, generally there is a pathway into that area. In Montgomery County, we didn't have any waterways, and that was the traditional way of going into the interior of a county. We did have an Indian path, which is Route 355. So people would go there, but when the railroad started, it allowed a lot of the cities and the areas, agricultural areas in Montgomery County, to suddenly become profitable and businesslike. So it changed from subsistence farming to support one family to dairy farms, which delivered milk by rail. Produce was delivered, wheat, corn, to mills. So it was a huge improvement and really allowed this county to thrive in the late 19th to 20th century.
I start our monthly tours, walking tours of downtown Silver Spring from the train station. So we use this as our base of operations because we want to try to get as many sets of eyeballs on this building because many people they may have driven past it thousands of times and never even knew this building was here. So it's a good way to profile both the train station, to acquaint people with all of the wonderful activities that take place here and the fact that they can't rent this building, and then to use it as the point that we leave and do the walking tour of downtown Silver Spring.
MPI runs an open house, a free open house series for our families in the neighborhood or the entire Montgomery County area. We're open January through December, the first Saturday of every month from 10 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. And we try to showcase many, many different things. Sometimes we have a music program. We have a few railroad historical societies that come and show us the different modules for our families. Our families love the trains here. They come and they train spot, and they come and they take photos, and the children learn to look and touch and learn. So we have Bank Track, which is an N-gauge model railroad group, and we have a permanent display here offered to us by the Rockville Model Railroad Society, which is HO scale and really depicts the B&O Railroad.
This is a small HO scale model railroad layout, which was made as part of a very large exhibit that was at the National Geographic during the Christmas season of 1989. It was built by what at that time was called the Silver Spring Model Railroad Society. It's now called the Rockville Model Railroad Society. And we had 14 people working on it for approximately 1 year. Our goal was to make a layout using materials readily available at the hobby shop, not world-class modeling to make it seem intimidating, but so that people could understand that they could actually go to a hobby shop and buy many of these items right off the shelf. And it has functioned flawlessly now for 17 years.
Teachers can arrange to have a special tour. I do have a real day job, so it's very difficult for me to leave in the middle of the day, Monday through Friday, but sometimes it can be arranged. So I certainly encourage teachers to give me a call, because I'd love nothing better than to try to fill the young minds of students with the history of Silver Spring.
We have a wonderful patio outside under the platform where you can watch trains, and it's protected by a fence. There's a nice tight fence there so you can bring small kids here and feel completely safe that they're not going to be afraid, they're not going to run into the train, they can't get anywhere near the tracks.
We would love to have volunteers here. We love when the community can come and help. The Silver Spring Historical Society is always looking for docents to help with our downtown tours. We do reach out to schools and senior groups. We need members on our board. If you'd like to become a board member for MPI and help us with some of our projects, we'd like to have you. And here, we always need people to help out at the open houses. It's nice to just have somebody help boil the coffee.
The Silver Spring Historical Society is currently doing research for a series of heritage trail markers that are going to be erected along Georgia Avenue. Our plan is for there to be 20 markers in total, going from the district line all the way up to about Cedar Street, with a few on Colesville Road. And currently we have 6 of them erected, and we're very proud of them. Each one of the signs gives a fascinating history about the buildings that are immediately in the vicinity of the sign. And we're going to hopefully have about 3 more erected in 2012. I got involved in Silver Spring's history because I've always been fascinated by local history. To me, it was a history that was the most immediate. It was right around you. It wasn't a history that was coming off the pages of school books.
We're great for train spotting and pictures. The building is available for rentals. We've had some wonderful weddings here. Very beautiful, very unique. Yes, and holiday parties. And of course, if your child is a rail fan, you can't get a better place to have a children's birthday party. We have wonderful family entertainment, everything from children's storytellers to musicians, so you'll just have to keep an eye on the website to see who's coming in. At the historic Silver Spring B&O station, we have on-site parking, so it's very easy to come. And we have off-site parking directly across the street. This free public parking during the week if our lot is overflowing. Our building is ADA compliant and accessible. We have ramps, and our bathrooms are accessible to everyone. And everybody should come into the building just to see the phone booth. And it's easy for caterers too.
The decor here is Art Deco, and that's a part of an era that's gone by. So it's a lot of history in this place.
If you'd like to book a party, our station master here is John Suri, and he's the one who will organize your party.
Well, I would like people in Silver Spring and the surrounding area to know that this is a community asset. We went to a lot of trouble to restore it and to keep it for the community. There are a lot of people in this area which have very fond memories of using this station, greeting relatives at this station, seeing people off at this station. It was a prime departure point during the Second World War to go off to serve the country.
I think one of my favorite things at the station is the phone booth. I had a little boy come in and look at his dad, and his dad was like, "Oh, I remember my dad used to give me a nickel, and it's like if you ever got lost, you can call us." And the little boy looked at him and said, "Wow, you had privacy." Never thinking the new technology, and he's right. Remember my girlfriends and I squishing up in the phone booth to call a friend in our local soda shop, you know, and it's a nice memory.
We have a building which is directly connected to history and people's memories. And we want them to come back and make those connections over again.